a final answer, a key, a meaning, some grand solution to the puzzle of life. But what if I told you there isn't one? And more than that, there isn't supposed to be. The moment you try to figure it out, it slips through your fingers like water trying to grasp itself. You chase the tail only to realize you're the tail and the chaser all at once. Life, my dear friends, is not a problem to be solved. It's a dance. And the point of dancing is not to get to the end of the floor. The point is to enjoy every step along the way. We make ourselves miserable because we treat life like a task. I must figure it out, you say. I must unlock the secret. But every key opens another door, and behind every door is another corridor. And so we run, faster, harder, trying to reach the finish line of understanding. But the finish line keeps moving. Why? Because you and the universe are not separate things. You are not some stranger thrown into a strange world hunting for clues. You are the world, expressing itself as you for a little while. And the search itself, this delightful, frustrating, beautiful search, is the very thing that keeps the whole game going. If you ever truly figured it out, it would be like reading the last page of a novel and then wondering why the story had to end. The joy is in the unfolding, in the unknown, in the mystery. We don't listen to music to get to the last note. We listen because we love the way the notes weave together, unpredictably, thrillingly. So the universe, you see, is not hiding answers from you. It's playing with you, like a cat with a ball of yarn. The more you chase, the more tangled it becomes, and the more fun it all is. And when you stop trying to catch it, when you simply watch and breathe and flow, you realize something marvelous. It was never something to be caught. It was always something to be danced with. So here's the great cosmic joke. You'll never figure it out. And that's precisely the point. Because you were never meant to solve it. You were meant to live it, to feel it, to let it move through you like wind through the trees. And in that letting go, you might just find you've known the answer all along. But by then, you won't need it anymore. You see, life is not a problem to solve, but a dance to experience. And yet, most of us were raised to believe otherwise. From the moment we could speak, we were taught to look ahead, to chase answers, to figure things out. We were told there's a right way and a wrong way, a path that leads somewhere meaningful. And if we just try hard enough, think long enough, behave well enough, we'll arrive at the grand solution. But what if that idea is the very thing that keeps us from truly living? Because life, in its essence, is not a journey toward a fixed destination. It's more like music. You don't play a piece of music to get to the end of it. If that were the case, the fastest orchestras would be the best, and we'd skip straight to the final chord. No, you play music because you love the unfolding of the melody, the rise and fall, the dance of notes weaving into each other. And in the same way, the meaning of life isn't found in reaching some final answer. It's found in the very act of living itself, in the rhythm and flow, in the way each moment gives birth to the next. But we've been conditioned to rush, haven't we? Always trying to get somewhere, as if each moment were just a stepping stone to the next, never complete in itself. School prepares us for college, college prepares us for work, work prepares us for retirement. And then what? Then we're finally allowed to enjoy life. But by then, we've spent so long chasing the next thing that we've forgotten how to be here, how to be now. We've forgotten that life was happening all along, not at some future point, but right under our feet, in every breath, every smile, every sunset we were too busy to notice. When you see life as a dance, everything changes. You stop trying to control it so rigidly. You stop demanding that it makes perfect sense or fits into neat little boxes. Because the dancer doesn't dance to arrive at a particular spot on the floor. The dancer dances for the joy of the movement itself. And sometimes the steps are graceful, sometimes clumsy, sometimes joyful, sometimes sorrowful, but all of it is part of the dance. The trouble comes when we believe we're supposed to have it all figured out. We tie ourselves in knots, asking, what's my purpose? Why am I here? What's the meaning of it all? And those questions aren't wrong, but perhaps they're misguided. Because the point of dancing isn't to figure out where you're supposed to step next. The point is to let the music move you, to be carried by it, to trust it. The meaning arises from the very act of dancing, not from analyzing the choreography in advance. And so many of our anxieties, our fears, come from believing we're failing at life because we haven't found the answer yet. We look around and think everyone else must know something we don't. But the secret is, no one knows. Not really. We're all improvising, all finding our way step by step. And the beauty is in that improvisation, in the spontaneity, in the freedom of not knowing exactly what comes next. When we loosen our grip, when we stop trying to force life into a narrow corridor of expectations, we begin to notice the subtle beauty all around us. We start to hear the music again, the laughter of a child, the rustle of leaves in the wind, the warmth of sunlight on our skin. These are not distractions from some grand purpose, they are the purpose. But as long as we treat life as a problem to solve, we'll miss the dance. We'll stand on the sidelines, waiting for someone to hand us the answer sheet while the music plays on without us. And isn't that the great tragedy? To come to the end of your days and realize you were so busy searching for meaning that you never truly lived. So perhaps the invitation is not to solve, but to surrender. Not to conquer life, but to let it move through you, as a dancer lets the music guide their body. And in that surrender, a quiet wisdom arises, not an answer written in stone, but a living, breathing understanding that doesn't need to be pinned down. Because life is not a problem to solve, it's a dance. And you, my friend, are already dancing. Whether you know the steps or not, whether you feel graceful or clumsy, it doesn't matter. The music is playing, you're here, you're alive. And that, in itself, is enough. So let the dance continue. And trust that the beauty was never in the solution. It was always in the movement, the laughter, the tears, the swirling, unpredictable, magnificent dance of being you see. The great paradox is that the more we seek final answers, the further they seem to slip away. It's as if the universe is playing a marvelous game of hide and seek, not to torment us, not to frustrate us, but to invite us into the dance of discovery itself. Every time we think we've arrived at a conclusion, a certainty, a solid ground beneath our feet, the earth trembles and gives way to deeper questions. And so we chase and chase and chase, believing that one day we will capture the answer, hold it tightly in our hands and say, "Ah, now I understand." But that moment never truly comes. And that's not a failure, that's the design. Because you see, life isn't a puzzle to be solved once and for all. It's more like a labyrinth whose walls shift as you walk. Every turn reveals a new pathway, every solution opens up further complexity. We long for the day when the questions stop, when the uncertainty ceases, but that longing itself is part of the mystery. The idea that there is some final answer, some ultimate truth neatly wrapped and waiting for us at the end of a journey, that is the very illusion that keeps us from seeing the truth already shimmering in each moment. Imagine if you truly found the final answer. Imagine if someone handed you the absolute explanation for everything, the why, the how, the what of existence. What then? The story would be over. The music would end. The dance would stop. There would be nothing left to wonder about, nothing left to explore. And deep down, we don't want that. We want the thrill of not knowing. We want the unfolding mystery. We want the horizon that always moves further as we approach. For it is the mystery that gives depth to life, richness to experience, wonder to each breath. But we've been trained to believe that answers are the goal. From childhood, we are rewarded for solving problems, for finding the right solutions, for knowing rather than questioning. And so we carry that mindset into adulthood, hoping that if we read enough books, follow enough gurus, meditate hard enough, we'll pierce the veil of the unknown and grasp the ultimate. Yet every spiritual insight, every scientific breakthrough, every philosophical revelation only leads to more profound questions. The mystery does not shrink, it expands, it deepens, and it draws us ever further into its depths. But isn't that beautiful? Isn't it marvelous that the universe is not a locked vault, but a living, breathing wonderland of endless discovery? We often treat mystery as an obstacle, something standing in the way of certainty. But what if mystery isn't the obstacle? What if mystery is the very essence of life itself? What if, instead of trying to conquer it, we were meant to fall in love with it? You see, when you stop demanding that the mystery resolves itself, when you stop insisting on answers, something extraordinary happens. You begin to notice the wonder that's been here all along. The sound of rain against the window, the laughter of a child, the way a leaf trembles in the wind. These are not things to solve. They are not riddles awaiting answers. They are mysteries meant to be experienced, savored, embraced. And the more we relax into the mystery, the more we find ourselves at peace. because the burden of needing to know falls away. We no longer have to pretend we have it all figured out. We no longer have to tie ourselves in knots trying to explain the unexplainable. We can simply be here now, in the presence of the great unfolding, trusting that we are part of it, inseparable from it, carried along by its current. It's a curious thing, isn't it? The mind seeks answers, but the heart delights in mystery. The mind wants closure, but the soul wants openness. And so, the more we chase the final answer, the more the universe responds by expanding the mystery, gently, playfully, lovingly, reminding us that the joy was never in the answer itself, but in the search, in the longing, in the dance between knowing and unknowing. And so I say to you, let the mystery deepen, let it draw you in, let it surprise you, humble you, awaken you. Don't be so eager to solve it. Don't be in such a hurry to explain it. For every answer is just another doorway, every solution a new beginning. The mystery is infinite, and that infinity is what makes life so utterly, gloriously, beautifully alive. The answer, my friend, was never the goal. The mystery is the answer. You see, we often imagine ourselves as little beings, standing apart from the universe, looking out at it as though it were something foreign, distant, something out there. We think of ourselves as observers, as searchers trying to figure it all out, as if the universe were a great puzzle spread across the table, and we had to arrange the pieces until they fit. But this, my friend, is the great illusion. Because you are not separate from the universe, you are not a stranger peering in from the outside. You are the universe looking back at itself, wondering at itself, marveling at its own mystery through the very eyes you see with now. The self and the universe are inseparable. Just as a wave is not separate from the ocean, but an expression of it, a unique ripple that is still utterly water, so too are you an expression of the great unfolding, the great dance, the great happening we call the cosmos. You didn't come into this world, you came out of it, the way a leaf grows from a tree, the way a flame flickers from a fire. You are not a visitor here, you are home. And when we search for meaning, when we search for purpose, for answers, we imagine we are moving towards something beyond us. We imagine we're incomplete, lacking, and that fulfillment lies somewhere else, somewhere further down the road, hidden behind some veil we must lift. But what if the search itself is the answer? What if the very act of seeking is the expression of the universe in motion? What if the longing, the questioning, the yearning are not signs of something missing, but signs of something alive, something beautiful, something whole? You see, we love to draw lines and boundaries. We love to cut reality into pieces. Here is the self, here is the world, here is spirit, here is matter. But those lines are imaginary. They're like lines drawn on water. They vanish the moment you try to grasp them. There is no inside or side to the universe, no true separation between you and everything else. The breath you just took was once part of the wind, the food you eat was once soil and sunlight, and the thoughts moving through your mind are not isolated. They arise from language, from culture, from all the human beings who have come before you, woven together in an intricate tapestry. And so the search for truth is not a journey from here to there. It is the recognition that you are already woven into the very fabric you're trying to understand. You are the thread and the pattern and the weaver all at once. The search is not something leading you away from yourself. It is a deepening into yourself. Every question you ask, every step you take, every wonder that arises in your heart is the universe turning its own gaze inward, delighting in its own depth. But we struggle with this, don't we? We want closure. We want final answers. We want to pin it all down, to say, this is it, now I know. But life doesn't work like that. The moment you think you've figured it out, it changes. The moment you grasp it, it slips into something else, and that's not a flaw, that's the play. That's the dance. The universe is not a static thing. It is alive, dynamic, endlessly unfolding. And you are not here to solve it like a riddle. You are here to move with it, to be surprised by it, to be shaped by it. When we stop demanding that the search deliver a neat answer, we begin to see something astonishing. The search itself is rich, meaningful, alive. The searching is the point. The wondering is the point. You don't listen to music to hear the final chord. You listen because you love how the melody moves, how it surprises, how it carries you. Life is no different. And so the self and the universe are not two things. They are not subject and object, not seeker and sought. They are one seamless process, one continuous unfolding. The very impulse to search for meaning is the universe moving within you, calling itself forth through your curiosity, your awe, your hunger for truth. And the more you realize this, the less you feel the need to arrive. The less you feel the pressure to figure it all out. You begin to trust the journey itself, knowing that every twist and turn, every question and doubt is part of the larger whole. And you see that you were never really searching for something outside yourself. You were searching to remember that you were never apart from it to begin with. So here we are, the self and the universe dancing together, endlessly reflecting, endlessly exploring. And in this dance, every step is the answer. Every moment is the answer. Every breath is the answer. Because the search itself is the answer. And you were it all along, you see. It's a curious thing about life, that every time we think we've found an answer, every time we settle into some comfortable certainty, the universe gently pulls the rug out from under us and whispers, "Aye, but have you considered this?" And so, what we thought was an endpoint turns out to be another beginning. What we believed was a solution unfolds into a deeper, richer, more mysterious question. It's as though the universe is not a riddle to be solved, but a story to be told, a song to be sung, a dance to be danced. And in this dance, every step leads not to closure, but to a widening of the circle. We want the story to end with, "And they lived happily ever after," but the story keeps going. We want the song to reach its final note, but the melody lingers, finds a new refrain, moves into a different key. And so it is with every answer we seek. You see, the desire for finality, for closure, for absolute certainty is a kind of fear, a fear of the unknown, a fear of ambiguity. We want to nail things down, to draw clean lines, to fix reality into manageable shapes. But life is not fixed. Life is fluid. It flows, it shifts, it evolves. And every time we try to pin it down, it transforms under our gaze. Like trying to grasp water with your hands, the tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. And yet, isn't that beautiful? Isn't it marvelous that reality refuses to be reduced, refuses to be contained? Every solution, every insight, every breakthrough is not a wall at the end of a path, but a doorway to something deeper. The physicist unlocks the mysteries of the atom only to discover quantum paradoxes. The mystic glimpses enlightenment, only to return with more questions than answers. The philosopher crafts an elegant theory, only to watch it unravel in the light of new experience. And so we must ask ourselves, what is it we're really after? Are we searching for answers, or are we searching for the thrill of the search itself? Because if we imagine that one day we will arrive, that we will finally understand everything, we set ourselves up for disappointment. But if we see the journey as the point, the exploration as the reward, then every new question becomes a gift, an invitation to keep going, to keep wondering, to keep playing. It's a bit like walking through a forest. Each clearing gives you a new view, a new perspective, but it also reveals more trees, more paths, more mysteries. And the deeper you go, the more you realize that the forest is vast beyond imagining. But rather than despairing at how much there is still to explore, you begin to delight in the endlessness of it all. You begin to see that the beauty is not in reaching the edge of the forest. It's in wandering, in stumbling upon unexpected streams, in hearing the birds you didn't know were there, in watching the light filter through leaves in ways you never noticed before. And so too with life. Every solution reveals new questions endlessly, and that endlessness is not a flaw, it is the very wonder of existence. Imagine a world where all the answers were known, where every mystery had been solved, where every secret had been uncovered. How dull, how static, how lifeless that would be! The universe would become a closed book, a finished puzzle, a song that had already played its final note. But thankfully that is not our world. Ours is a world where mystery begets mystery, where every revelation expands the horizon, where the dance never truly ends. And perhaps this is why the wisest among us are not those who claim to know everything, but those who are comfortable not knowing. Those who smile at the great unfolding, who bow to the vastness of it all, who embrace the questions as companions rather than problems to be eliminated. They understand that to be alive is not to master life, but to participate in its ever-changing rhythm, to be willing to learn, to unlearn, to be surprised again and again. You see, life is a living question, and we ourselves are questions walking around in human form, looking at other questions, sharing questions, passing them back and forth like sacred riddles. And the moment we think we've answered them once and for all, the universe laughs and shows us that the game is deeper, wider, stranger than we ever imagined. So let the questions come, let the answers unravel, let the mystery deepen, for every solution reveals new questions endlessly, and in that endlessness we find not frustration but freedom, not despair but delight, not an end but a beginning that keeps beginning forever and ever. And isn't that the most beautiful answer of all? You see, all along we've been under a rather peculiar illusion that we are in control. That life is something to be managed, steered, manipulated like a machine. We've been taught to grip tightly, to hold the reins, to map out every turn, every outcome. But the more we try to control, the more we find ourselves at odds with the very current of life. And here lies the great paradox. It is precisely in letting go of control that we discover a deeper harmony. Because life, after all, is not a machine. It is not something mechanical or rigid, waiting for instructions. Life is like a river. It flows, it wins, it twists and turns in ways we cannot predict. And if you stand there on the bank, shouting orders at the river, insisting that it flow in a straight line, you'll only frustrate yourself. The river doesn't obey. The river moves according to its own nature. But if you step into the water, if you let yourself be carried, if you float instead of fight, you begin to discover something. You begin to feel the rhythm beneath the surface. You begin to realize the river knows where it's going, even if you don't. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean resignation. It's not an act of defeat, but an act of trust. Trust in the great unfolding. Trust in the deeper intelligence at work. Trust that life, in all its complexity, is wiser than our plans, kinder than our fears, more creative than our strategies. And oh, what a relief that is! To stop trying to push the river, to stop trying to make the wind blow your way, to realize that you were never separate from the flow in the first place. You were part of it all along. But of course, the mind resists this. The ego says, no, I must be in charge. I must figure it all out. I must control every outcome, or everything will fall apart. And yet, look at the world, look at the trees, the clouds, the stars. Who is controlling them? Who is telling the tides when to rise and fall? Who is commanding the seasons to turn? No one. And yet they move in perfect harmony, without effort, without struggle. There is a deeper order woven into the fabric of things, an order that doesn't require our interference. And when we let go, we begin to align with that order. We begin to dance with the music rather than trying to conduct the orchestra. We begin to notice that the very moments we tried so hard to force into existence came to us effortlessly once we relaxed. The love we chased appeared when we stopped grasping. The insight we sought emerged when we stopped thinking so hard. The peace we longed for arrived when we stopped fighting ourselves. It's a bit like learning to swim. When you flail, when you tense, when you panic, you sink. But the moment you relax, the water holds you up. The moment you trust, you float. And so it is with life. The more tightly we cling, the more we struggle. But when we let go, we find ourselves carried by something greater than ourselves. Letting go of control doesn't mean chaos. It doesn't mean everything dissolves into disorder. It means stepping into a different kind of order, an organic, living, breathing harmony that was always there, waiting for us to notice. And this harmony doesn't operate by force. It moves through surrender, through listening, through openness. So often we think we must impose our will upon life, but life isn't something to conquer. It's something to participate in. It's a dance, not a war. And in a dance, the beauty comes not from controlling every step, but from moving with the music, from feeling the rhythm, from allowing yourself to be guided by something beyond thought. And perhaps this is why the sages, the mystics, the poets all speak of surrender, not as weakness, but as wisdom. They know that the tight fist closes itself off while the open hand receives. They know that the rigid mind fractures while the flexible mind flows. They know that the more we try to control, the more fragmented we become, but the more we let go, the more whole we feel. Letting go of control brings deeper harmony because it returns us to our rightful place, not as the master of life, but as a participant in its great mystery. It frees us from the exhausting burden of having to make everything happen and invites us instead to witness, to respond, to play. It reminds us that the universe is not a machine waiting for commands, but a living process inviting us to join the dance. And in that dance, we find a peace beyond understanding, a joy that isn't dependent on outcomes, a trust that allows us to breathe, to soften, to love. So let go. Step into the river. Feel the current beneath you. And know you were never lost, never separate, never in control to begin with. You were always already part of the song.